Let her roll. Alrighty, so we are here at Shroomosphere again. Finally getting to connect with Miss Anna Towers, who is
Hey.
in my phone as Anna the Mushroom Lady Towers.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's nice to finally face to face with you and get this
Hmm.
this going. I've been enjoying your Facebook posts for some time now, and I think I don't have Instagram on my new phone, so I don't. But somebody who I want to talk with you about later is a follower of yours on Instagram and says that she really enjoys your work. So
That's
anyway,
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. One of the things I just gonna drop a surprise on you right to start with. I know
Oh,
you
have fun.
look, yeah,
You know, I love those.
yeah. Well, it's an easy one. It's an easy one. I don't know how I blanked on not letting you know this or sending you this, but the first question that I always ask our guests is, what is their first mushroom memory? So take a minute,
Oh,
dig back into the recesses of your brain,
yeah.
and can you
It's
think?
funny because I've been trying to do this for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yes, because I've literally had a love for mushrooms since as far back as I can remember. So I've been trying to remember the first moment. I don't really know. It's such a hard one. I wish I had a concrete answer. I wish I could just tell you, yes, there was this Amanita muscaria that I saw when I was 5 years old. Yeah, but I don't.
You don't know. That's okay. That's
Oh.
great. I didn't know mine. What was it? Probably 4 or 5 years ago. My mom brought me a cassette tape, and she was like, "Here, play this," and I played it, and it was a recording of me at age of 5 talking about feeding mushrooms to alligators.
That's
So,
fantastic.
yeah, it's been a long
That's
time.
wonderful. I do tell people sometimes I popped out of the womb with a mushroom in my hand.
the
You know,
the
that could have been it.
could it be the mushroom?
Yes. There you go. That's a new one. That was a good one.
I like the wordplay that we've had back and forth. You're a very enjoyable character to converse with. So, I mean, that kind of like feeds into the first question, though. Is when did you first fall in love with mushrooms? So it might not be a
Yeah.
concrete memory, but maybe if you can kind of give the listeners an idea of how
Yeah.
this evolved.
Let me look at my notes.
Sure.
I don't really so much as I said remember when, but why. I've always found mushrooms to be their physical appearance to be captivating, specifically their little toadstool shape with the round plump cap. And so that I always found adorable. There was just something I really anthropomorphized that shape specifically. Actually, now that you mention it, it could, excuse me, it could take back to the Disney movie Fantasia.
Ah,
There's a certain part where there's little mushrooms dancing
mm-hmm,
around.
mm-hmm.
Could take back to that actually, which could
Okay.
answer your first question. Um, and the other thing that I really, really know that pulled me in was the gill structure. The way that they're essentially plates that are radially aligned, but they never touch each other. And I really find symmetry in nature completely fascinating. And so that was kind of one of the other reasons it drew me in. Is I love looking at gills. I am completely, like I said, I'm completely captivated by them. So that was kind of the other part that drew me in as a child. What kind of captivated me?
Okay. It's interesting considering that most of your photographs
Hmm.
you seem to photograph a lot of the corals and cup fungi and not the typical cap and stem mushrooms that most people are familiar with.
Yeah, I think actually I didn't know that fungi that there were mushrooms other than the traditional toadstool. And so once I kind of started, it's actually I started hiking a lot more, and I started seeing all these colorful fungi that I didn't know. I mean, jelly fungi look like brains, and the coral, of course, and that just drew me in even more. It's like, wow, there's all this really cool stuff um, right below our feet that we don't see, and it's a treasure hunt every time I go out because very often I will find something new, and it's like I do a little happy dance because I never knew that this particular species grew here, and it's just always so exciting. It's It's just so exciting.
So, like, how often are you out in the woods, or I mean, not even just in the woods? Like, how are you carrying a camera around with you and photographing? Like, in work. I mean, if you're at a college campus, a lot of campuses have some older trees, or your grass and mushrooms. You can find a lot of interesting stuff there. Do you photograph throughout the day, or specific hunts?
I don't photograph at work, although I could. Every once in a while, I do see something special. Actually, it's a funny story. I'm on the 4th floor of my building, and there's this little grassy area way down outside my window. And in the fall, these shaggy mane inky caps come up right next to this little drain. And I can see them from my window, so I kind of enjoy watching them pop up. And of course, they're fast mushrooms, but those being kind of hardy take 4 to 5 days to completely deliquesce or digest themselves and disappear. And so it's fun to watch them grow, but it's also heartbreaking because the groundskeepers love to watch for the mushrooms, and I see them coming with their little mowers, and they go straight for the mushrooms, and it's so sad. All I can do is just watch.
Banging on the window. No,
yep.
no.
No, exactly. Just watch them mow them down. It's kind of like you just got to accept it. There they go. But I do often bring my camera to take pictures of those. I've actually had one situation where I went down right before the mower came so I could get some shots, and it's kind of a funny encounter. But mostly I take my photos along neighborhood trails that are cool and moist, anywhere where there's a creek. And I try to go out at least twice every weekend to different places. I find that, of course, different places you go, you'll find different mushrooms. And actually, interestingly, I take about 90% of my photos just in this one little area. And there's 3 trails there, so I try to hit at least 2 of those on the weekends. And then in our area, there are East Bay Regional Parks, which are essentially parks that are overseen by. I couldn't even explain it to you. They're basically properties that are for the public. They can't be touched. They're just beautiful lands. Some with eucalyptus groves, and there's a big lake. There's tons and tons of different East Bay Regional Parks, and of course now my anxiety is not helping, and I couldn't tell you anything about them.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But I can tell you that they have a lot of different mushrooms growing at them, depending on where you go. I do go there sometimes to photograph mushrooms, but yes, I'm walking around with my camera, going to different places. I
mean, mushrooms are just all over the place, and that's one of the things that I've noticed with people that as I've worked with people just to introduce them to mushrooms is that, they'll come back to me and say months later, maybe it's just like, whoa, I had no idea. Now that you've kind of opened my eyes to the mushroom world, they're everywhere, and so they really are. Yeah, we don't care what the specific parks are. We know they're all out there. So what are your like goals with your work, or is this just like a personal and pleasure, or are you educating?
My biggest goal is to inspire people. I am a huge environmentalist, and I really want to, just by photographing mushrooms in a way that portrays them as really beautiful, I want to kind of draw people to see mushrooms and be kind of impressed, like, wow, I didn't know mushrooms were that beautiful. I get that a lot. And I think that if people start noticing nature, they start to care more about it, maybe start to treat it better. And that's kind of what my main goal is to inspire. Here's my hat. My hat's going. There we go.
Your mushroom is aging. That's excellent. And they are a way to kind of key people into some of the secret world of nature. There's just so much beauty that we take for granted, and that's from my viewing of your work. That's really what you're doing, is you're getting down there and you're capturing the intricate beauty that even a person who appreciates mushrooms may not really take the time to get up in there. Like, a lot of your pictures are like, I was a little ant. It's like I'm an ant or a slug. Oh wow, this is a great big beautiful world here.
Yes.
So very good. So if you don't mind, can we talk a little bit about what type of like how your environmentalism plays out in your life? Like, are you an activist, or what do you do to, aside from exposing people to the beauty in mushrooms, how do you engage in environmentalism?
That's something that I've really been building on. And actually, I was hoping to start with just taking the photos of mushrooms, and then kind of gearing those to inspire other people, which is kind of where I'm at right now, is trying to inspire people to get them to look closer at nature. I take photos of other things other than mushrooms, and I just try to get people to see what's around them. And I know in seeing, you can just learn to appreciate.
Totally.
So I'm sorry, I got totally sidetracked. Could you repeat your question?
Well, I think you answered it pretty well there. Just kind of, how you overall interject yourself into ecological activism, and
Thank you.
education. I mean, that's the primary resource that people need before they can really take action, is to become aware and value the world around them.
Yeah, I'm trying. I think the biggest thing is I'm trying to build a larger following on Facebook and Instagram, solely for the purpose of kind of interjecting just facts about the environment, about plastic, about just really anything that a person can notice and say, hey, maybe there's something I can do differently. Anything small, of course, any tiny change is a change. Not using plastic straws at a restaurant, for example, is a change. And so I think that's something that I'm starting to implement now, is just putting facts just so people can do what they want with them, but that they know they're there. So yeah, that's where I'm going.
Totally.
And I'm just kind of building.
Right. Well, you're off to a really great start. And I don't think that I've expressed this to you yet, but I kind of went through several photographers to see who I really would want to talk to first, and why I was drawn to your work is not just kind of the unique angles that you take, but the way you animate the images with your captions. You kind of bring it to life. It's like you show that microscopic world, and then you give it some character. You give it a voice. You anthropomorphize it in certain ways. So I appreciate your playfulness and the way that you verbalize what you see and how you understand it, as much as the photographs themselves. So, what about?
Thank you. That means a lot.
No. I mean, it's like, yeah, you're really doing some cool stuff. I really enjoy your personality just from what I've seen at that distance. So that kind of leads into the next question, which I may, from the photographs you take, maybe I should guess first, or maybe not. But do you have any favorite mushrooms that you like to take pictures of?
I have quite a few.
Yeah.
Essentially, I like to take a picture of any mushroom. I get excited over every mushroom. But my favorites, I love the wax cap mushrooms, the waxy caps.
Yeah.
I love that they're just so vivid. Their colors are just magnificent to see against the greenery of forest is beautiful in and of itself. Then if you see like a cherry red waxy cap pop up, it's like, wow, it's so impressive. So I really, really like wax caps. Kind of to branch on those, I love the parrot mushrooms, which are also kind of wax caps. Those are so cool. There's just so many different colors to find.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the green ones are fantastic. I love the green ones because, of course, other than things that depend on photosynthesis, not much is green in the mushroom world. So it's exciting to find something green or blue.
Yeah.
And then aside from the wax caps, I love jelly fungi. I just love jelly fungi. And it's funny, my mushroom hunting partner just is so disgusted by it. And I always pick up a piece and I'm waggling it around because it's like jelly. And I just love to touch it. And those are so much fun to take photos of because the light hits them different ways, and sometimes they have moss behind them. And I don't know, I just think they're cool. What else? The shaggy mane ink caps that I mentioned. Actually, really any ink cap. I find the fact that they start to curl up in a little black curl up in a black circle because they deliquesce, which is, as you know, basically the mushroom is digesting its own flesh and causing the gills to turn up in a way that the wind can better get its spores and disperse them. So back to what I was saying, I really like to take photos of those because they often come up in clusters, and it's interesting to see the different stages of the deliquescence and the little black ink that actually comes as a result of the digestion. So those are fun to photograph. And what else? Let's see. Well, I like clusters just in general. Any mushrooms that kind of come up in a grouping, as you've noticed, I love taking pictures of those. For some reason I find them especially moving. Especially if I can get really like underneath them. They just look like families to me. So I just love those. They're really fun to take photos of. And then the Amanita muscaria, of course. I love it. I love the red with the white spots, and it has that shape, the toadstool shape that I really like. So I think those are my favorites. But I mean, like I say, I get excited over anything new, and even old species I found before that look they're popping up and look fantastic. It's very exhausting just being excited over.
You get tired of being excited about mushrooms. I'm so tired of being excited about mushrooms. No, I feel that. Sometimes I'm like, my God, this thing is this ever going to end? Does this rabbit hole ever end? I noticed one really nice sequential series you did of a chicken of the woods that was coming out. I think you said it was in your backyard. Yeah, yes. That was really cool.
That was fun. I wish I had the data. I do have that on my website. I can tell you later what my website is. I do have a little blog that shows photos from every day, and that has also I measured the growth. So it's kind of interesting to see. I wish I could tell you exactly what the growth rate was, but I am not. This is a really fun fact about me. I don't eat mushrooms.
What?
I have very little expertise with mushrooms. I am very picky. But the mushrooms I have had have been kind of earthy or just kind of bland. And for that reason, I haven't really been into mushrooms. But of course, there's so much that can be done with edible fungi. I know there's a whole community of people who are into fungi just to eat fungi. So I have, nobody should take my word for it. But the chicken of the woods does taste like chicken, which was interesting. So I have tried chicken in the woods. They're actually, the California chanterelles are popping up, quite a few of them right now. I wish I liked eating them. I did try those. They're okay. I wish I liked eating them because I would have quite a few meals. But.
Man, chanterelles marinated and thrown on a grill to me are one of the most, just one of the delicacies in life.
I need to try grilling. I like grilled. I like anything grilled.
Grilling is like the way, in my opinion, which is very limited exposure. I've eaten a lot of mushrooms, but mainly we just saute them or grill them. And man, God, when we used to do last summer, I mean every summer when we grill, really, but marinate some chanterelles and leave them whole. And especially you guys get those great big ones out there. Marinate them for 20, 30 minutes and grill them until they're just like crispy on the outside.
You have me wanting to eat mushrooms. Who would have thought?
So, I mean, shiitake, like it's a whole different world on the grill. We used to take, when I was cultivating, and we still do with the logs that I have, but we'll take whole shiitake caps and marinate them in sriracha and then put them on the grill and get the gills crispy. And, oh my, fuck, they're so good. But it's funny. It's funny because, like, I would venture to say that probably 50% of the people that I have talked to in the mycological community don't eat mushrooms. It's like
that is weird.
Well, it's a testament to the fascination or the worthy fascination that fungus holds. You know, people that don't even eat these what are considered some of the most high value delicacies in the world, and people still love them so much that they, like yourself, will go out and spend hours and hours and hours just like taking pictures of them and
Yeah,
like
that's
talking
a
about
really,
them.
really good point.
It's
Yeah.
pretty. I don't know. It's pretty cool. Pretty interesting. Well, that was the next thing I was going to ask is your experiences in mycophagy, which seem like they're pretty limited at this point. Um,
Quite.
but you seem open to possibilities. So maybe
I'm definitely open.
you'll find the mushroom that's right for you one day.
Yes, I'm ready.
The chicken of the woods. Thinking about that, the sequential photographs you did are useful as a pot picker like myself and people that are picking mainly for food
That's a good
to notice the sometimes say I remember when I was first starting to pick mushrooms, finding a young chicken of the woods and not knowing, how long should I wait to go back? Should I get this thing now? What's the prime time? And those pictures like that could be really useful in educating people on some of those longer to develop mushrooms like maitake. You guys don't get maitake out there or hen of the woods, but that is. Have you seen the developmental stages of maitake?
No, I haven't.
It's crazy.
I don't think.
Crazy. Go check it if you can. I'm sure online somewhere. If there's any cultivation books, you can find it. But basically, it starts out like a gray, fuzzy lump on the side of a tree, and then it swells up and looks like a brain, and then the folds turn into like little small shelves, and then those shelves develop stems and extend out. So it has
That's so cool.
4 very distinct phases, and then the next phases of decomposition. But at least in its maturation, it has 4 very distinct, and each one is just like so beautiful, and it looks so different than it.
That's so cool. I can't wait to look that
The
up.
one before it. Yeah, those guys are so lovely and so, in my opinion and experience, quite delicious. So what are you if you see your work as a educational tool in ecology, do you see that it has any specific role to play, or do you think of it specifically in terms of mycology or ethnomycology?
I mean, I would love ultimately for my photos to be used in a book or a brochure, or actually I have a photo in a magazine right now, a Bay Area magazine, that has a little bit of information about the mushroom. And really what I want my work to be used for is just to kind of, like I say, open people's eyes to how beautiful nature is, and how there can be things that we're missing everywhere that we're just walking by and could be appreciating. And in that appreciation, maybe we could be better with our planet too, and find ways to make little changes. That's kind of where I'm hoping. And I'd love to have my own book at some point. Since I am more of a photographer than a mycologist, I would say it would have to be different than an identification book, just because I don't have the knowledge, that kind of knowledge. So that's something I'm still thinking about, and will be for quite a while.
You're pretty good on taxonomy, though. I mean, you even, I think your jellies and stuff, don't you usually list the genus species name along with it?
Yeah, well, thanks. I try.
I don't know. I don't do well with taxonomy. Alan Rockefeller out there, he's out there around you, and Stephen Russell here in Indiana, close to me in Indiana, are a couple of taxonomists that I've worked with, and man, that's a different breed of human being right there.
It is.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, but wow.
Yes. I sat in sometime at Cal State, at California University. I got the wonderful gift of being able to sit on a California fungi course this past fall, and the teacher, he also teaches a taxonomy course, and from what I heard, it's just like, wow. It's just amazing.
And it's constantly changing. I mean, you've got to be like on top of the game.
Yes.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah. I don't really understand that, It's cool. I'm glad somebody's doing it,
Yes.
But good Lord. Yeah, cool. Not for me. Um, so let's see. What's the next question I had here? Um, I mean, I guess this is kind of like it's a more general and experiential thought, but just like um, I would, if you are more than welcome to go on a rambling diatribe in answering this question. But what is your like what is this obsession? How does this thing like bleed into your life? Because
Mm,
it seems like from an outsider that you're
mm,
heavily engaged.
yeah.
So like you know your relationships with family and friends, your other interests. Like how does
Mhm.
this obsession with mushrooms affect
Yeah.
the rest of your life?
I think now that you're mentioning it that way, I think it brings light to pretty much everything. Um, in many ways. Of course, there is the main aspect, which is being out in nature and spending time outside, which I find extremely therapeutic, especially for a person, since I have tremendous anxiety, as you know. I really find being outside and just being able to sit and being quiet with nature is so helpful. And so, in that way, that kind of nature therapy feeds into my mushroom obsession there because I'm outside all the time, and being outside all the time, becoming myself a human tripod all the time as I'm taking pictures because as you see, sometimes I'm like hanging on a hillside and my hiking partner is like pushing up on me trying to keep me up there. It's sometimes it can be quite the struggle, and I often come home and I have to take my pants off like inside out so the dirt doesn't fling everywhere. Um, but yeah, so there's that area in my life. And also I've met so many friends.
Mm,
I've made so many friends, and I've also kind of gotten in touch with old friends who from high school who are just interested in my work, and family members. Just a lot of people who didn't notice mushrooms before and who really only knew about what they saw in a grocery store. And I feel like as far as the net, my community. Um, there has been a difference has been made. People tell me they're noticing flowers and they're noticing birds and they're sending me pictures of the mushrooms they find in their yard, um, and it also gives me something to talk about. I have a hard time um, with conversation. Often I get nervous, and with mushroom when I'm talking about mushrooms, normally I forget all of that. So that's kind of nice. Let's see what else. The nature aspect. Since I've been a child, nature documentaries, science documentaries have been like my favorite thing to watch before I go to bed because I get really relaxed. I like learning new facts. I like learning new things. Every year I have a new. Every day I have a fact a day calendar, so nature stuff. I've got an entire bookshelf over to my right, and another one to my left that have books about the ocean and environmental conservation and the universe and all these different things that I've been collecting for most of my life. I have a rock collection. So I think that the fungi itself has inspired me and brought me back to my original passions of the world and seeing nature as a child again. Um, let's see what else. I think maybe that will help answer your question.
yeah, I think that's
I'm going to come
excellent.
up with a lot more, but for now, there's
No,
some.
that's beautiful. It's fascinating how pervasive this subject becomes in the lives of people who really engage with it, and it connects so many other areas of interest. It connects
It really does.
people.
It's amazing.
Um, the way that the mycelium itself physically is um, reminiscent of neural networks and
Yes.
of the interconnectedness within the universe itself.
Yes.
It's
It excites
just
the heck out of me, as you can
it's
tell.
it's fascinating. It's just like befuddling.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
humbling. It's awe inspiring. And I think that it seems that people who engage on a deep, heartfelt level with mushrooms almost always, not always, but almost always come to a place of seeing that connectivity and really like experiencing the connectivity, you know.
Yeah.
So
I know exactly what you mean. So it must be a thing.
seems like it. It seems pretty common. Definitely have come across a few mushroom people who are just like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. Mushrooms they're just cool. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I guess so is a lot of stuff. What about let's see. So we've talked a little bit about your eating or lack thereof of mushrooms, which we will not hold against you.
Thank you.
But
I'm willing to try.
Yeah. There's plenty of time. Plenty of time. What about cultivation? Have you engaged at all with cultivators? Have you ever thought about going and photographing cultivation of mushrooms?
I haven't. That's one area that no. Just to answer that question, no. That's one area that I haven't really focused on yet.
Mm-hmm.
I am interested in learning more, but not an area focused on yet.
Just from a photographic standpoint, you might find it really enlightening to and complementary to your experiences in the field, because it's very raw, and you go from like bags or blocks of mycelium to mushroom pinning to fruit body development to spore dispersal, and I mean it's just like it just intensified my love for mushrooms even more to really like see, because out in the wild, even if you find like young mushrooms, it's difficult to come upon and really dig into like a pin set. Are you familiar with like the pin set, right? And you'll like, of course, you've experienced it in like a stand of mushrooms where you'll find varying stages of maturity, and you'll see some that are still pins. But
that always makes me so excited.
yeah, it's
so many photo opportunities.
so what?
So many photo opportunities.
Oh yeah. Have you gotten any pictures of spores actually dispersing from the mushrooms?
One photo of a lilac oysterling. It was in the sun, and you could just see it was really cool. I got a video of it too.
Okay.
They were just wafting.
Yeah. Did you see the research that came out maybe 2 years ago, indicating that mushrooms actually form their own little mini climate underneath the barometric pressure changes?
I think that's so interesting. There's just so much. Everything is so interesting.
It's so fascinating that the spores leave the gills of the mushroom at the same velocity that it takes the space shuttle to break the gravitational pull.
I just read that the other day.
It is just
this week.
Wow. Yeah, it's really humbling. So, do you like, even if you don't eat the mushrooms, do you ever collect mushrooms and do spore prints or anything like that?
I have done some spore prints of like the Amanita muscaria, and let's see what else. I tried the inky cap, but we all know that didn't go well. Other than that, I haven't done many. But I have. What else have I brought home? I have brought home like corals and just mushrooms that I find to be rare for the area. And I have a what do you call it? A dehydrator, a little dehydrator, and I dehydrate them for a while. And I have a little dry collection, which I have no idea what I'm going to do with them, but there they are. Yeah. So there's my weird collection of dried mushrooms that I don't know what I'm going to do
with. Just imagining like there's a bag of mushrooms somewhere that you just like, I can't let go of this for some reason.
It's a jar, so it's a little bit better. Just a little better than a bag. But
well, speaking of bags of dried mushrooms, have you had any experiences with psilocybin?
I haven't, but I am very interested. Very, very.
I saw you had a picture of a bunch of cyanescens at your feet.
Yes.
I thought surely you ate some of those.
I didn't. that was kind of toward the beginning of my journey, so to speak.
Mm.
And honestly, I didn't know what they were when I found them.
Oh, really?
It wasn't until later I got so excited. I was looking in a book. I was like, "Oh my god, I found this whole patch!"
Mm-hmm.
And I actually I go back to that patch all the time, especially when there's a hard rain, because that was when they popped up when I found them before. It's been a couple years now, and nothing's come up, and I'm not happy about it because I just feel like there's opportunity sitting there, and nothing's happening.
Yeah, I mean, no, leave me alone. Updates. Especially as you've talked about anxiety, which I appreciate you being, just upfront about that. They obviously have a history of use and kind of alleviating some of those symptoms. So has it just been that if you don't mind me asking,
No, not at all.
has it been that you haven't had access, or you felt that you haven't had the proper setting or people or training? What's been the?
Yeah. I think it's been access and training,
Mm.
and also probably being fed incorrect information, in the sense that I've heard from people that if you are in a negative mood when you eat them, you will have a bad time.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's necessarily true. Maybe you can tell me. And that scares me, because I already have a hard time sometimes, and I'm afraid that it will leak into that experience. So that's kind of what's held me back. But I'm getting that fear is fizzling as the years go by. So I'm definitely interested, for sure, and it is something that I like to read the research about it quite often. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, obviously the set and setting are kind of the main things that
Mm-hmm.
you want to consider, and then the dosage. Definitely, if used or worked with inappropriately, then they can accentuate anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I would never suggest or say that you should expect or even hope for a good time or a good experience. I've definitely had hundreds of instances working with psilocybin, and some of the most positive in the long term experiences have been the most difficult within the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So just knowing that knowing that this is a safe and proven medicine, and trusting and allowing for the medicine to do its work, being in a safe space with a safe somebody, and generally I would say that the best thing to do would be to do them either with someone who is very experienced, or if that's not an option and you have a friend that can kind of just be there with you, to have them stay out of your trip as much as possible, and that they're just there to prevent you from driving yourself to the hospital.
Okay.
Right? Because
Interesting.
there are definitely times, and I've had some very powerful panic attacks under mushrooms where I was certain that I was dying. I was fucking dying, and there was nobody there, and I had to talk myself down. You're okay. You're okay.
That is unbelievably hard to do.
It is very hard to do, and so especially if anxiety is the thing that you're trying to work through, then I would highly recommend that you work with someone who is either very experienced and knows that all they're there to do is to reassure you that you're going to be okay and to encourage you to just, whatever it is you're experiencing, just witness it and let it flow. But sometimes people will have a sitter come in that feels like they should try to influence the trip, or maybe the sitter doesn't know really the safety of the mushrooms, and they may accidentally feed into anxiety. While they're really safe and beautiful, highly beneficial medicines, we've got to be really careful about how we work with them and approach them so as not to give reason to carry on this insanity of illegal plant medicines. So anyway, that's my spiel on psilocybin.
Everyone's got one.
Yep. Psilocybin's been a good friend of mine for a long time, and it's helped me through a whole lot, and I've seen it help many people become much stronger, more resilient, self-loving, compassionate people. So if you get that time, and you'll know when it's time. It'll happen at the right time. So what about your pictures? Are you selling anything, or what are you doing with your work?
Yes, I do sell quite a number of things. I'm setting up a shop on Etsy right now, but let me just tell you what I have. I have a little tote. I could show you. I could have shown you. I didn't realize. Oh. I have mushroom tote bags, canvas tote bags that have a photo on them, and I have note cards, handmade note cards. They're packs of 6, and then each card has a different photo. And I have magnets, and I have, what else? Calendars and socks.
Socks?
And, yeah.
I want to see a sock.
I'm working on a couple new things for next year. Ultimately, for the last 2 years, I've been selling things at the San Francisco Fungus Fair, which is in December. And I've had a table there, but now I'm ready, to implement my shop and kind of just have it open all the time. So I'm hoping by the time this airs, I will have a shop.
Cool.
But ultimately, I do have a Facebook page, Friendly Fungus Photography. If you search that, I'll come up, and I'll announce when the shop is open on there. But otherwise, on my website is a really great way to reach me. If you have any questions about my photos or anything, I have a contact page with my email, which of course I can give you if you like.
Yeah, cool. Totally. So the socks, you got me hung up on the socks. Are these? You mentioned earlier that you crochet. Are these something that you make by hand or what?
I wish they were. That's actually a fantastic idea. They're actually. Have you heard of Huff socks?
No.
They're like really thick. Really, I'm actually wearing a pair right now. That's why I'm looking over it like I'm wearing a pair. They're really thick, warm cotton socks, and I get them on Amazon in bulk, and then I sell them with actually the little name of who I got them from, so people know where they came from. But they're just some of my favorite socks. They don't actually have my photos on them. They're not anything that I designed, although that would be so much fun. To design socks.
But they have mushrooms on them?
Yes, they do. Here's my foot.
Yeah, that's it.
See?
Oh, dig it. Yeah, those are cool. Where's the smell-o-vision when you need it? Well, I got amanitas from head to toe.
I do.
That's pretty darn cool. I'm not going to stick my bare feet up in the camera.
Good.
Okay, well, that's very, very cool. Let's see. So, yeah, you mentioned your where your stuff can be purchased and your website. Can you give your website one more time?
Yeah. It's www.thefriendlyfungus.com.
Okay.
And the friendly fungus is me. I'm friendly. I'm a fungus. Fungi.
Gal.
And that's also my username on Instagram, and also on I just said Facebook. Yeah, on Instagram. And then I said my website. I think I'm covered, aren't I?
Yeah, sounds like it. I'm going to put links to your website and Facebook and probably Instagram too on the podcast when I publish it. So that'll be there. Okay. Well, do you have any? Is there anything else you'd like to share with people? Like any
Oh
final
man.
notes? You mentioned
Yeah.
something about plastics. You had a lot of stuff.
Oh, plastics. Well, I got all my own plastics, giant plastics. Can I state some facts?
Please do
Just a
it.
couple
Yes.
facts.
Yes.
Okay. Every piece of plastic ever made still exists. Okay. 50% of plastic is used once and thrown away. 5% is recycled, and 95% goes into landfills and into the ocean. So that is a lot of plastic going into landfills and the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's estimated that by 2050 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish.
What the fuck?
And it's
More plastic than
just the
fish.
facts for them speak for themselves. I actually have a blog that you can check out on my website with facts, and then also suggestions on little things that can be done to use less plastic. Like I said, not using not using a straw, not using plastic utensils, little things like that. Taking your own bags to grocery stores instead of using plastic bags.
Oh yeah, you mentioned totes, mushroom tote bags.
Yeah.
Are those like the reusable grocery bag type thing?
They are. I mean, they could be used for groceries. They're kind of smaller, more for they're more book bags, I would say.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, you could use them for groceries depending on how much you're buying.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. When I saw some information about that, the Pacific Gyre.
Yes.
What the hell?
What is it called? Do I have it here?
What are we
It's called
doing?
Pacific. Yeah, it's a garbage patch. It's twice the size of Texas.
Texas, yeah.
Yeah.
I just.
California.
Can you believe that?
I can't think about it too long.
Oh.
I was looking at a video, or a photo rather, of I think it was 19 bags that they pulled out of a whale stomach recently. 19, or was it 23? It was some kind of insane number. It's so sad when people actually see the insides of a marine animal who has died because they've consumed so much plastic. That really moves people. It disturbs people, but it moves people, and it's just so sad. It's heartbreaking.
It is just. There are so many things that are going on in this world right now that are just fucking insane. I cannot believe that we are doing the things that we're doing culturally and socially. Plastic is one of them. The pharmaceuticals, oh my God, oil sucking the blood out of this planet. It's just like, I can't think about it for too long because I just spiral into this
Yes, it's depressing.
It is,
and it makes you feel so small because there's only so much that one person can do. At least that's it's hard.
but just like you said earlier, the little bit that you do it's still something. It's an impact.
Yeah.
And I have long time believed and would almost say no that this earth that we're sitting on is conscious and aware, and that we are connected to it, and it knows those of us who care enough. It knows.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So we just got to maintain that resilience, and if it's until the day we die, we are just you and I and the people that are on this planet right now are just a little bitty blip, and in this moment, and whether or not we come back or whatever, all that shit, I don't know, but we're just a little bitty blip, and this planet is going to continue on, and if it sadly enough has to consume us and spit us out, and turn all of our crap into oil or whatever gets sucked back into the center of this planet, then it will do that.
And I'm so pessimistic. I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah, well, I think we could probably we could probably ping back and forth off of this thing for a minute. So yeah, let's not dig down that rabbit hole. Let's know that we're doing good work. There's a lot of people out there that are doing good work. The negative is a lot of times a lot more boastful and loud than the positive. But you know how the bullies go in school. They eventually get shut down. You know what comes
And
around.
then we're left. Good
And
for us.
yeah. There's mushrooms out there that are eating plastic. That's one of the things
Yes.
that has been found. Coming out of the Amazon, of course, we're finding a mushroom that targets
Yes.
plastics. So, you know, just a small drop in human activity on this planet, and we would see an exponential increase in the natural world taking back over. So, you know, it's maybe pessimistic, but it's also optimistic in knowing that this thing will fix itself. You know? It'd just be nice if we could like work with it, you know, and enjoy the fruits of it all too. Anyway, all right, I said we weren't going to ramble more about that, so I'm not going to. All right. Well, Anna, it has been more than a pleasure to finally have this conversation. And thank you very much. And I look forward to sharing your work and seeing more of you in the future.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So that was that. Miss Anna Towers and her inspirational story of how she came to be a mushroom photographer. So check out her work, Facebook, Instagram. Check us out, Michael Meditations. Also, pledge, pledg.org. Make a donation. Help out. Let's get this ball rolling. Free up the plants. Free up the minds of the people. You've been in tune to the Shroomosphere. I'm Eric Osborne.